For those who don't know, my name is MJ. I gave birth to my son. I have a biological son. He's almost 10 years old. That's me when I was pregnant with my son. Sometimes when I post these pictures, they're like, that's not really you. The tattoos are different. That's the same tattoo. I don't know what to tell you. That is me and my son, right after I gave birth. Anyways, also for those who don't know, I'm married, which a lot of people assume I have a wife. But I actually have a husband. We're both trans men, which means we were both, assigned female at birth. We transitioned to male. Anyways, 3 years ago, my son's father teamed up with a local church in an attempt to gain custody of our son. This was strictly on the grounds that my husband and I are both trans men. According to them, this was extremely detrimental to my son's upbringing, his development, and I guess like an overall threat to the traditional family unit that they thought that kids should be raised with. I've spoken about it before, but my relationship with my son's father was extremely toxic. I won't get into too much detail, but he did plead guilty to assaulting me. I believe at that point I was his third legal victim. But although he had a history of being violent, it clearly wasn't a safe situation for a child. He was in a traditional marriage. They had the opportunity to be a traditional family unit. I actually found out later on they weren't married. So our court date came, and my son's father didn't show up. But not because he skipped out or he couldn't find a ride, but because he passed away. When the hearing came, I knew that my son's father had passed away, but I didn't know what happened until the judge asked me what he overdosed on. I found out a lot after that day, not just about substance abuse. By the time he died, he had 7 legal victims. 7. During that time when he was acquiring victims, my husband and I were working our asses off at full-time jobs, keeping up with about 4 to 5 therapy appointments a week for my son who's autistic. Staying sober. I have 9 years sober, and my husband, he's going on like 4 or 5. Not once getting into any trouble with any form of law, anything like that. But because we weren't a traditional family unit, that didn't matter to some people. Something's wrong with that. When the only thing you care about is a traditional family unit and not the safety of children, the caring for children, making sure they're nurtured, cared for by like compassionate beings, that's an issue. Anyways, 3 years later, my son is doing fantastic, and so are we. My son has so many awards from school, like mainly in technology, and the whole community loves him. Like, he's just doing amazing. And recently I came across something, and it just really made me realize how lucky that we are. When I was in the process of leaving my son's father, because it was a very, like I said, very toxic situation, I would keep a lot of journals. And in one of the journals, I said that, I see couples where people are with somebody who's just so kind. Like, you can just see it in their soul. They're such a kind person. And I think to myself, why can't I just be with somebody who has such a kind soul? And now I am.